I think everybody knows that. And it's come to the end of the year. This is the end of 2022. And as I was driving around today and having these thoughts that I have from time to time, I thought I'd share them with you because, well, who else do I have to share them with? So here's the thing. There is no shortage of bad news. There's no shortage of calamity. There is no shortage of hyperbole of people telling you how horrible things are. Once upon a time, someone told me that, well, Victor, people just don't want to hear good news. People only want to hear the misery. They want to hear who died. They want to hear who argued with who and who did this and who did that. Well, one of the things that I've learned to do over the course of the years is to focus a lot on me and how I have improved and how I am getting better. If you know me, you heard me say I'm better than I was and not as good as I'm going to be. And that's true for me and that's true for you too. Anything that you do over and over and over, you naturally get better at doing it, no matter what that thing is and no matter who you are. If we are talking about living every day, just breathing, just being who we are, every day that we do that, we get better at doing that. And it's that simple. Now, how good are you at nosing out at sharing good news? Are you part of the crew who says that it's better to hear bad news? Well, I think it's pretty good to hear good news. And one of the best things that we can do is to improve ourselves. One of the best things that we can do is to get better at controlling ourselves. I'm a big advocate of controlling myself. If you and me have a disagreement or you and me want to argue about something, you can bet that most likely I'm going to be the one that's listening. Because for me, it is a show of strength to listen rather than to talk. At the end of 2022, ask yourself how you did in 2022. Ask yourself if you have fought urges that were self destructive. How do you feel when you tell somebody off? It's been my experience that every time I tell somebody off, I never feel good about it afterwards. What about you? So, wouldn't it be profitable? Wouldn't it be worthwhile to fight the urge, to defeat the urge of telling somebody off from Jump Street? Because you better believe the person that you're telling off, they don't appreciate being told off. There was a story I heard some time ago, and this might be pertinent for what we're talking about, is how to chew somebody up. But when I'm talking about chewing people up, I want you to understand something. Nobody has the right to chew you out, and you don't have the right to chew anybody else out. But sometimes we get it in our heads that chewing out is indicated. Chewing out is never indicated. Whenever you feel the urge to chew somebody out, you got to look inside and figure out what's messing with you, what's making you feel worse than what you need to feel. Just recently, I had the occasion to demonstrate some self-control. And me demonstrating self-control is good for me, it's good for the earth, it's good for everybody. And it's good for you developing self-control as well. But what I'm broadcasting about today is, what have you done that you're proud of? What have you done that you're glad that you did? This idea of broadcasting good news is not a new idea, but it's an idea that I'd like to take forward. And I'm asking you, those of you that's watching this video, if you're watching this video, you were not brought here by accident. You were brought here for a reason. In the chat, I want you to put something telling me that you're interested in hearing good news. You're interested in hearing situations where people overcame things. You're interested in hearing me talk about how good I am at keeping my pie hole closed. Now, I get for some of you, this might border on braggadocious behavior. You might think I'm bragging. You know something? There's no shortage of people telling you what you're doing wrong. What about you telling the world what you're doing right? Of all the stories that you have heard, the stories that have not been empowering, the stories that have not helped anybody, you heard them and you probably told somebody else about them. And as a result, you have improved the circulation of something that's unwholesome, something that's unhealthy. If we want the world to change, if we want to be a better person, then we have got to do it, which means you're going to have to tell me about your good parts. I'm going to have to tell you about my good parts. And we're going to have to get over the fact that some people who are listening to us might think that we're bragging. So what if we're bragging? If it's the truth, we need to share it. There are wonderful things happening every day. You are doing wonderful things every day. Put in the chat section, tell me some of the wonderful things that you're doing. I want to know the wonderful things that you're doing. I want to create an environment where people talk about the good things that's happening instead of the bad things that's happening. We don't want to talk about the politicians. We don't talk about the entertainers and how they're fighting and how they're doing this. Those things do no one any good. You want to empower yourself. You want to empower others. You want to run into people that are looking for good things. I was listening to a report the other day, and the report said that 75% of the people, that's three out of four people, that's walking around that you know of every four of you that's watching this, three of you are feeling maligned. Three of you are feeling like somebody's victimizing you. Three of you are feeling that you're not getting a good shake out of life. Now, that means that the chances of you or I running into someone that's looking for a reason to be unhappy, that's looking for a reason to be triggered, that's looking for something to complain about, we have got to make a commitment not to give them something to complain about. We have got to be the one to demonstrate the fruits of the Spirit. We got to be the one that demonstrate the love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, meekness, mercy, and kindness. We got to embody those things. And in order for other people to know that embodying the fruits of the Spirit is a good idea, you got to tell them about the times that you did it, just like I'm telling you about the time that I did it. I did it yesterday, and the person that I was having a relationship with, believe me, they have no idea about what I did, but I know I did it. I know I fought the urge to open my mouth. I know I fought the urge to scream, rant, and rave. And because I know that, that empowers me for the next time. So, what I'm saying on this broadcast is I want to hear from you. Do you want to hear good news? And I'm not talking about boring good news. As a Toastmaster, I know how to tell a story. And if you don't know how to tell a story to make it interesting, join Toastmasters and you can learn how to make a story interesting. So I'm not talking about the boring, humdrum thing that puts people to sleep. This video that you're hearing right now is not boring, it's not humdrum, it's not putting you to sleep. But get ready and tell the story. Put in the chat that you have a story to tell about what you did, how you did it. Oh, you want an example? Here's an example. Here's an example of fighting the urge to get in somebody's face because you don't really want to get in somebody's face. Who knows what they have in their pocket? A young man was telling me about a door. Let's just say that he believes that the pastor of our church wanted this door to be unlocked. Now I'm the deacon on duty. I didn't unlock the door for whatever reason. I didn't unlock the door. So when he came to church that night, he came in beating on the door. And I hope he gets to see this video so he'll see himself on the other side. And he's beating on the door. I happened to be on the other side of the door, the locked door, and I heard it. So I went and peered outside and saw it was him. So I opened the door and I said to him, "Don't beat on the door. I know why you beat on the door. You beat on the door because you believe." And I wasn't really able to say much more than that because when he realized that I was saying something to him that he didn't want to hear, then he stopped hearing and he started talking and he started yelling. And as I opened my mouth, he yelled even more. And of course, were I an average man, I'd probably still be yelling at him now. But I'm not an average man. I'm a man that understands that he is one of those three people that were looking for a reason to feel victimized. And I was committed to not give him a reason to be victimized. You might think it's a small thing, but when you hear of the maladies and the horrible things that happen on the earth that we live in, people have lost their lives for much less. People have gone to jail for much less. People have had very bad outcomes for much less than he wanting me to unlock a door rather than leave the door locked. So that's an example of a good story. That's an example how you can share with me something that you did when you could have responded like an average person, but you didn't respond like an average person because you are not an average person. And as we share more and more and more of these stories, then more and more people will realize that you're not being a wimp when you refuse to yell. You're not being weak when you listen rather than talk. You're being strong. Friend of mine at church says, if you see me on my knees, it's not because I'm weak. I'm getting stronger. Because it is the God power in us that makes us stronger. I think I've gone on long enough now. I'm gonna do these broadcasts on a regular basis, and I hope to have you maybe interviewing on one. You could put your story in the chat, or you could join me. I'll send you a link to the show, and you can tell us about the way that you overcome the urge to be a bonehead. because we all know boneheads. We all probably are boneheads at one time or another, but we don't need any more of them. We need the stories that you have to tell about how you overcame the urge to be difficult, because we don't all have to be difficult. And if you understand that the strong one is not the one that's yelling the loudest, the strong one is the one that is listening. So give me your comments, and I look forward to seeing you next time. I am Victor Irving Jenkins, and you just have a good time until next time.